And with this trend, you're starting to see a lot more foreign streamers coming to Japan, bullying Japanese people for views and clicks. And the thing is, a lot of these guys are losers in their own countries. They're a bunch of weak men. It annoys me because as a person who really loves Japanese society, I care about population, Japan's not gonna look the same in the future. I love Japanese people. I want Japan to prosper. I want Japan to be the best country it can possibly be. But if the Japanese, konbanwa minasan, kyo desu. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just gonna go straight to the point and just get my thoughts across. I'm extremely concerned for Japan in the direction Japanese society is going. From the 3 years of us doing this channel, I've talked about the issues of immigration and the issues of Japanese people not having children, not making families, and how that affects the economy and how that affects Japanese culture. For example, Japan being one of the few countries in the world to have an older population that's a lot more than the younger population. And again, when you don't have enough young people to replace the older generation, a lot of economic problems ensue and a lot of cultural problems ensue as well. I think one of those problems, for example, is the streamer problem that's been happening. This past year, I've reviewed a lot of these foreign streamers who would come to Japan and make all kind of havoc and nonsense and trouble just to get views on whatever platform they stream from. Because there's people who give these guys money for causing havoc in Japan. Now, I'm not too sure if Japanese mainstream society or mainstream news is reporting on this, but a few clips have gone viral over the past few months of these inappropriate streamers doing all kind of crazy stuff, cussing out Japanese people, bullying Japanese people, not obeying social rules, just being a menace. And what bugs me the most, I mentioned this in a past video in which I reacted to one of those major streamers, is that the only reason why they come to Japan and do this is because they know that Japanese society will allow them to do that. I love Japan's non-confrontational nature. I love that most Japanese people try to get out your business and try to leave you alone. I definitely respect that. But I believe it can be a double-edged sword if people don't know how to balance what's the difference between being non-confrontational and being, a man that has to protect when someone or something is being wronged. I hope I'm making sense with this. For example, a lot of these streamers would come to Japan and cause havoc, knowing that the Japanese men, rarely anyone will do anything to stop them. However, if they're in countries like or America or South America, some country in South America, if there are guys wilding out like this in their own country, the men would stand up and say, stop, you need to stop. And with this trend, you're starting to see a lot more foreign streamers coming to Japan, bullying Japanese people for views and clicks. And the thing is, a lot of these guys are losers in their own countries. They're a bunch of weak men, a bunch of losers who feel like they can come and bully Japanese people to make them feel good. It's kind of like that bully who bullies other people, but only the people that he knows he can bully. It annoys me because as a person who really loves Japanese society, I care about Japan and its future. I hate to see foreigners come and do such nonsense in Japan, because right now, the relationship between Japanese people and foreigners is very sensitive. Many Japanese people haven't had very intimate experiences with foreigners, and first impressions can make or break a person. There's a Japanese person, or any person for that matter, that interacts with someone outside of their own racial group. That experience can determine how they view outsiders for the rest of their lives. Imagine these streamers come and give Japanese people very negative experiences. That experience will stick with that person, and they can attach that experience that all foreigners are like this. And I've made a past video in which I've said that it's now causing a lot of Japanese people to feel like maybe that we should isolate ourselves, because immigrants already in Japan are not obeying Japanese rules. They're making a lot of mess, leaving trash on the floor, a lot of things like that. And as there is not enough young people, I believe, that genuinely are patriotic about their country. I think the average Japanese person is not very patriotic as far as loving their country. And you have an older generation that's dying out. You're gonna be left with a whole bunch of young people who don't know how to handle certain things because they weren't taught that. Or the culture tells them, hey, don't get involved in anything, mind your own business. But when there's foreigners, or let's say even Japanese people, that are causing trouble, you don't feel the sense to say, okay, I gotta stop this, or I gotta intervene. You're just like, oh, It's none of my business. And I feel because a lot of Japanese are not very patriotic, it seems like there's going to be other racial groups, other foreigners, or other countries that are going to try to dictate Japanese culture for Japanese people. Imagine places like China sending a whole bunch of immigrants to Japan, and those immigrants are now getting voted in office. Those immigrants are demanding certain things to be changed about Japanese society. If Japanese don't genuinely care about their country, other people are going to come in and start dictating what Japan should and should not do. And it's a problem that's happening in Europe right now, in which a lot of immigrants from Africa and the Middle East are flooding to Europe, and countries in Europe. And places like Germany and Sweden are facing epidemics to their citizens from these immigrants, and the governments are doing nothing. Immigrants have more children than Europeans do. I mean, I believe a lot of studies show that Europeans, this is the least amount of kids that have been birthed in Europe right now. And it's happening in America as well, but specifically Europe. These immigrants will come and have more kids. Eventually, over time, they will overpopulate and be more in number than Europeans. Now imagine if immigrants come to Japan and these immigrants start having families, start having kids, probably 4 or 5 kids per household. Eventually, over time, these immigrants will outnumber Japanese people. And again, people carry their culture with them. That's why when the Romans used to colonize certain countries, they would send 300 Romans to that colony, because it will start to look like Rome, because people carry their culture with them. So now if you have a Japan in which there's a lot of immigrants that have a lot more kids, and they eventually overtake Japanese people in population, Japan's not going to look the same in the future. And I'm saying, if Japan doesn't teach its young people to care about its politicians, to care about its culture, to care about its future, if the Japanese don't care, other countries will care, like China or Korea or whatever country that sends their immigrants over to Japan. They're going to dictate where Japan goes in the future. And I see that as a huge problem, because I believe if this problem continues, then there's going to be a group of Japanese people who are going to stand up and say, we don't like foreigners, get out of our country. And I believe there's going to be not racial, but cultural clashes between Japanese and foreign people. Already, if immigrants are coming in, creating more, we have an epidemic of streamers or whatever. I don't know if it's epidemic, but just streamers who come to Japan to mess with Japanese people just to get money. Then I think Japan is in a very, very, very sensitively bad time right now. I love Japanese people. I want Japan to prosper. I want Japan to be the best country it can possibly be. But if the Japanese do not care about their society, if they don't care about the problems that are affecting Japan, if they don't care that Japanese are not having as much kids, and that there's a massive amount of immigrants that are coming to change Japanese society. And I'm not talking about immigrants that integrate and become like Japanese people. I'm talking about those immigrants who come and still do whatever they do in their home country and don't obey Japanese rules and laws. They're the people that's going to cause a lot of change to happen to Japan if Japanese people don't do something about it. But that's just what I think. So please let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So if you guys found this video interesting, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Hanto, arigatou gozaimasu. Mina, 気をつけて。じゃあね。